Hi class. I have to be out again today. My son is still sick, but the good news is he's getting better, so I should be back on Monday and I won't have to miss any more days. Hopefully he'll be all right this weekend. First things first, even though I'm not here, your timeline project is still due. So if you have your timeline project, turn it in right now. Put it in the box. Right now. Get it out of your bags and go put it in the box. I'll wait. I'll be grading these over the weekend. If you turn them in on time, then you get full credit. If you did not have them today, you can turn them in on Monday, but you won't get full credit. All right? Hopefully most of you have your timeline projects. Make sure that they're in the box and I'll come grab them this evening when I come up to the school. I'm going to ask you to do two things today during class. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to finish the discussion that we were having yesterday about valence electrons. There are some questions that I want you to answer about what it means that certain elements have a certain number of valence electrons. So I'll start by reviewing what we did in class yesterday. In class yesterday, you guys drew the Bohr models of different elements and you found out how many valence electrons each group has, right? So if you did the work yesterday, what you should have found out is that our alkali earth metals are our alkali metals are very reactive metals, have one valence electron. If you did the worksheet, you would have found out that the alkaline earth metals have 2 valence electrons in their orbitals. If we go to the other end of the periodic table, you would have found out that the halogens have 7 valence electrons in their orbital. And you would have found out that the noble gases are very stable. Noble gases have a full valence electron shell. For most of our elements, that means that they have 8 valence electrons. Helium only has 2, but it's still full. So the trend we say here is that there are 8. You will notice that there is a trend. We have 1, 2 valence electrons. Skip the transition metals. Then we would say that this group has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 valence electrons. Okay? The number of valence electrons that these elements have determines their behavior. Very stable elements have a full valence electron shell. These elements are extremely stable because their shell is full. They're not very reactive. They don't need any more electrons. They're good. They're full. The other elements will either gain or lose their valence electrons to reach this full state. So our halogens are very reactive. Halogens only need to gain 1 electron to be full. So if we look at an element like bromine, bromine only needs to gain 1 electron. Right? It has 7. If it gains 1 more through a chemical reaction, it will be full. Bromine is very willing to engage in a chemical reaction so that it can reach a full valence state. It's going to gain like that. That makes these elements very reactive. There are other elements that only have 1 or 2 valence electrons. If we look at an element like sodium, sodium only needs to lose 1 valence electron to reach a full state. It is very easy for sodium to lose this valence electron in a chemical reaction, so it will. Our alkali metals are extremely reactive because they only need to lose 1 electron. They're going to lose that electron like that so that they can be full. We have some elements that only have 2 valence electrons. So if we look at an element like barium, barium only has 2 valence electrons. 2 are a little bit harder to lose, but it'll still lose them. So barium will engage in a chemical reaction to lose those 2 valence electrons. It's not as reactive because it's a little bit harder to lose 2, but it will still react to lose those 2 valence electrons so that it can be full. Okay? So just remember, the goal is to have a full valence shell, and an element will either gain or lose electrons to reach that valence shell. All right? That was my point from yesterday. We didn't have time to get there. There are some questions by the door that I would like you guys to answer. At the top, I remind you that elements are most stable when they have a full valence shell. It says elements will tend to gain or lose electrons so they can reach a full valence shell. This tendency to gain or lose electrons controls their behavior, whether they are reactive or not. Okay? I would like you guys to please answer these questions to the best of your ability. I'm going to grade them over the weekend, so you need to turn this in when you are done. I'll look over it, I'll see how you guys are doing, and if we need to talk about it more on Monday, then we will. If you guys are good on this, then we can move on. Okay? So please answer these questions to the best of your ability. This is your assignment today. It is going in the gradebook over the weekend. And we'll talk about it when I come back on Monday. I don't think that will take you very long. So the second thing that I would like you to do today is to work on some of the vocab for next week. So you should have grabbed a second sheet by the door that has 3 vocabulary words on it. I have defined the vocab word, and I've given you some sort of examples, some analogies for what those words mean. What I would like you to do is to please draw a cartoon of what that word looks like. So think like comic strips or political cartoons, things that you would see in the newspaper, right? I want you to draw a cartoon to represent that vocab word. I'm going to check these on Monday when we come back together, so they need to be finished. If you don't have time to finish it in class, you need to finish it over the weekend, okay? My expectations to you is that you will do this work, right? I'm doing a lot of work to try and make sure that we're still learning even though I'm not here. I expect you guys to do the work to make sure that you are still learning even though I'm not there. I had conversations with some of you yesterday about your behavior while I was gone earlier this week. I expect that it will be better today. My expectation is that I should receive nothing but glowing reviews from all of my classes. And if I do not get glowing reviews from some of my classes, we're going to have some words, okay? So I know that you guys can do great. Please don't disappoint me. Please don't embarrass me. Show the sub how great you guys can be. Do the work, and I will see you on Monday.